Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about one of the most important topics in tennis, and that is the tennis grips. So in this video, I'm going to run through all of the different types of tennis grips, both forehand and backhand grips. And by the end of this video, you should have a full understanding of the different types of grips and also the pros and cons of the different grips. So let's get straight into it. Number one, probably the most important grip, the grip that you're going to be playing most of your shots with, is called the continental grip, or otherwise known nowadays mostly as the chopper grip. So the way we find the chopper grip, to start, the way we find all of our grips is by using the different bevels on our racket. So if we have the racket on edge, the top one here, this is bevel number one, and then for right-handed players we go round clockwise, so bevel 1, bevel 2, bevel 3, bevel 4, all the way around the grip. Continental grip, our index knuckle is on bevel number 2 here. So when you're holding your grip, you want your fingers to be spread a little bit. You don't want to be holding it firm like this. You want to have a little bit of spread in your fingers there. My index knuckle is on bevel number 2. Now this is your chopper grip. You serve with your chopper grip, volleys, and some players even hit their forehands with a chopper grip. That is more of an old school style forehand for sure. I don't think many players nowadays would be using the continental grip for their forehand, just because if you see me here, as I swing, my racket face is almost pointing up slightly, naturally. So it's quite tough to control the ball when your racket head is like this, especially if your opponent hits a ball that rises up high. You're going to end up hitting a lot of balls like this with an open racket head, and it's going to be quite hard to control and put some pace onto the ball without it flying long. That's why it's kind of extinct nowadays on the forehand side, but for serve and volley it's the main grip. Next up, we're going to talk about Eastern grip. Number 1, number 2, Eastern is now number 3. So my index knuckle is placed on this flat bevel here. So if my racket face was open, pointing to you, the strings are pointing to you, my index knuckle is on that bevel. The advantages of an Eastern forehand is that you can hit quite flat shots, but also you're able to produce topspin on it. So if you use an Eastern forehand grip, you're in good company, because Roger Federer, one of the greatest tennis players of all time, also used that grip. It's as though your hand is kind of in line with your string here. I advise beginners to start off with the Eastern forehand grip, because it's quite a comfortable grip to be able to feel you striking the ball. It's a great grip to use to just get that feeling of being able to hit through the ball. So I recommend Eastern definitely for beginners. Mostly you'll be hitting quite a lot of flat balls just because of the racket angle, but you can also get some topspin onto the ball when you use your Eastern, for sure, but not as much as a semi-Western grip. And in today's game, being a lot more of a baseline game, where we're in long drawn out rallies, players tend to favour a semi-Western grip over an Eastern grip. So the semi-Western grip, if we move on, bevel 1, bevel 2, bevel 3, and now we're on to bevel 4. So we just, from our Eastern, we just turn it over one bevel. My index knuckle is on the fourth bevel there. So as you see, as I hold the racket, naturally there's a little bit of a point downwards, and that just helps with topspin production. That natural downward facing of the strings helps me to get that lift when I hit the ball. In today's game, this is the most commonly used grip. I would say if you're a beginner, start off with the Eastern. As you become more confident and want to explore more into creating topspin on your shots, then do give the semi-Western grip a try. Next grip is the Western grip. So this is a very extreme grip it's not very common in today's game or in the history of the game, to be honest. Sriontek, the world number 1, actually uses the Western grip. And how do we find that? So if we get back to our neutral position with the racket, we're going to find bevel number 5. So that's all the way around here. So it's very, very extreme. So as you're hitting, you know someone is hitting with a Western forehand grip when you can see their knuckles as they strike the ball. So if you look at where the racket points when I'm coming into contact, my strings are pointing really quite far down now. So if you look at the semi-Western, it's a less of an extreme angle there. Going into the Western, for sure more of an extreme angle. So that's really all about topspin production with this grip, and it will be quite tough to kind of flatten out those shots. Even though Sriontek does that very well, she is able to kind of come into contact and hit through the ball. This grip does lend itself though to heavier topspin production, and I would not recommend beginners to try this grip. So yes, that wraps up the forehand grips for today. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the backhand grips now. So if we are talking about a double-handed backhand, and sorry, I'll say that I'm talking about right-handed players here. Everything that I've said about grips, if you're left-handed, then it would just be the opposite of what I've been saying. Double-handed backhand grips here, with your dominant hand, generally you should be in a chopper grip. So for me, I'm right-handed. I play with a chopper grip with my right hand, and then with the left hand, that's where you can have a little bit of change depending on what you want out of your backhand. A lot of players use a Eastern grip with their non-dominant hand. So for me, that's my left hand, and that Eastern grip, again, like we were saying with the forehands, if I show you my contact, my strings here are pointing straight to my opponent there. There's no kind of angle at all. It's very flat shot. So this is here, when I come into contact, it helped me produce quite a flat backhand here. Okay, but again, like with the forehand grip, you can produce that topspin with the Eastern. Just not as much if I were to come around and use a semi-Western. Next one, we're keeping chopper grip with your dominant hand, with your non-dominant hand, going into a semi-Western grip. Okay, so this is personally the grip that I use. And as we come into contact here again, you can see that my strings are pointing down a little bit there. So that just helps me produce a little bit more topspin. It lends itself to me dropping my wrist and lifting up the ball. So those are the main double-handed backhand grips. I'll just talk about the one-handed backhand. So for the single-handed backhand, we hold our dominant hand on bevel number 1. So the index knuckle is on bevel number 1 here. I wouldn't recommend anyone really go for a chopper grip. It's a little bit too open naturally. Your racket strings will be pointing up as you come into contact. So instead we turn it round there, and then if you come into contact, it's more of a flatter shot there with a little bit of downward pointing with my strings. This grip helps me to flatten out the shot or really get underneath the ball and rip up a little bit more. So it's quite a versatile grip, the Eastern backhand grip. I wouldn't recommend holding a semi-Western grip single-handed backhand, just because as you come into contact here, my strings are nearly pointing straight down to the floor. So it is very extreme, and yes, you'd be hitting a lot of balls into the net if you were to use this one. So definitely stick with the Eastern backhand grip. So that is the end of the video. I hope you guys found that useful, and I hope it was a comprehensive guide to the different grips in tennis. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comment section, and also let me know what grip you use for your forehand and your backhand, because I'm really interested to know what grips you guys are using. What do you find your grip helps you with? What do you find maybe you're lacking with your grip? Would you ever decide to maybe play around with your grip a little bit. Stay tuned for the next one, guys. I'll see you soon.